Hey, welcome back to the table. And I know it's been a while. So here we are with Conflict of Heroes, Awakening the Bear, Operation Barbarossa. I had recently asked what game to do next. I've been sort of gone a big chunk of this summer. And I was looking at the votes and I didn't do anything scientific or whatnot, but this one got an extremely large number of votes. Comancheria was actually, I would say, very close. So it was a toss-up between the two. I've received emails from people asking me to do this one, so I figured, okay, let's get this one out of the way and do this one. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here. The rules, well, hold on, let me back up. Let's go over the usual suspects here. If you're looking for me to just jump into the gameplay, go to video 2. Video 1 is going to be some setup and explanation. And then for just for those who were interested, the rules in this game are actually, they're very procedural. And I would say for the most part, I wasn't like confused while reading them. It's just that I would glaze over because the procedures are so dang, 12 bullets long, and I'm just like, you just want to fall asleep. So this game seems like there's just a lot of opportunity to get something wrong. And one of the reasons I've not done this game is because some of you, not those of you who watch regularly, but people who come in randomly off the internet can get really mean whenever you get something wrong. And I just sometimes I'm not in the mood for it. And so this is one of those games where there's 1,000 ways to get it wrong and there's only 2 ways to get it right. It's that kind of game. It's actually one of my largest criticisms of this game is that there's 1,000 ways to do it wrong and only a few ways to do it right. I think if you're playing solo at your table, no one's around to watch, you could be doing something wrong and you wouldn't even be any the wiser. Obviously, when you're recording it, it's going to meet a lot of scrutiny. And so, let's give it a crack. I mean, I've done some of the Butterfield games and I've gotten a lot of things wrong in the past. So it's not like I'm shy towards it. It's just, it requires a level of fortitude. So with this one, I did not check YouTube to see if other people have covered this one. I would imagine someone has. I'm also imagining that they probably did this exact mission, which is unoriginal. So I'm, not batting, my batting average is pretty poor all across the board here. But here's what I'm hoping to do. I want to do the campaign of this, but I know that this particular solo mission is like an introductory mission. I think we need to do this, get our feet wet, make sure we get through all the rules issues. I'm probably going to have to stop and look up 100 rules. We're going to have to figure out what does this mean? What does that mean? I want to get through all that. So that way when we get to the campaign, it's a smoother deal and we're actually just playing the campaign. So that's the idea. So what does, campaign versus scenario mean? Well, if you're new to the game, there's this scenario book. It's called Solo Missions here. And the very first one is Search and Destroy. And it starts off with this scenario here, and you can see the units there. There's some Germans that are controlling a point, and they're surrounded by some Russians, which are going to be us. And we have to basically try to take that control point. It is a timer type of game. You have like this mission track, and the timer starts on, square number 1 there, and then it ticks along and then until it gets to number 12, and then there's the end of mission. The thing that moves the timer is a little random, so you can play some games where you get really screwed and the timer's moving very fast. You can play other games where you're very lucky and the timer's not moving fast at all. There is victory points in this game, and we're gonna have to track that. Other stuff we'll get into in a second. What I wanted to show is, I'm going to flip some pages here, is that there's a campaign. And it starts with this one, Behind Enemy Lines. There's actually several campaigns. This is the first one. And this one involves, I think you play as the Germans in this one. And you can see here that there's a much more involved map. And you can see that this is going to be a bigger game to play. Probably multiple map tiles. Here you can see we're only using one. This one easily, it looks like it's, let's see, 5. It's probably 2 map tiles, I'm guessing. I won't bother figuring that out right now. But yes, so this is, here, let me lay this flat so you can see it a little bit better. Sorry about the glare right here. And when you play the campaign, if I go back one here, there's, you can see here there's a campaign count, and you actually have hit units at the end of a mission begin as unhit in the beginning of the next mission. And you can actually see that there's like, I think you start off with certain units and you can actually carry them with you through the campaign. I don't know. I've never played the campaign before, ever. So this is all new to me, but this is like, you can see you can go from mission 1, it goes all the way up to, I guess it's 4 missions. And then you have action cards that you get to use. And if there's any remaining from one mission, they get to carry over to the next. Things of that nature. But we're simplifying. We're just going to do the generic vanilla one that I'm sure every other YouTuber does. And let's just get through the rules and get through the angry people who think that I did a rule wrong. And I probably did. And then we'll work through all that. And then maybe we can do a cleaner campaign for those that are really itching to look at this game. Because I really think that the campaigns are what makes this game shine, based on just my unscientific, observation. The campaigns tend to be, to me, very meaty, and because they're chained together, I think they're very interesting. And then you can see there's a second campaign here, and I think for this one you play as the Soviet player, and yeah, you can see German AI is on this one. So okay, enough of that. Setup. There's some flavor text at the top here, but the couple of things you need to really pay attention to is, first of all, there is a solo sheet here. This is just for the solo player. If you're playing a multiplayer game, there's going to be different sheets that are similar to this, and it actually has a third section. You don't need that. You just need the solo sheet. And then I have a command marker, which can be either German or Soviet. I don't know what the 1 means. I don't think it matters. I'm putting it on the 4 because the scenario tells me, and I'll show you where in a second. And here, this is the victory point track. And the one thing to understand is it's double-sided. This is a Russian side. So by this being here, this means the German player has 1 victory point. That would mean the German player has 4 victory points. And then let's say that I just scored 5 victory points. It would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is no such thing as a 0. You're either +1 Russian or +1 German. Okay? All right. So the Germans have 1, and we start with 4. How do I know that? You come over to here. The cap allocation per round is 4. Okay? And this is the cap allocation, this blue area. The beginning victory points is 1 German, so that's the reason why it's on the German side, and it's a 1. So pretty easy peasy there. Round 1 initiative is Soviet, which means that we go first. Okay. Otherwise, for every round after, you're rolling dice to see who goes first. Okay, action cards. All action and bonus cards 2 through 5. What on earth does that mean? Well, these are action cards, these here, and I'm going to take the ones that are out of the game and show them to you. This is an example of what one looks like, and there's a number on the bottom. So you just need to keep 2 through 5. And I think some of these, there's like, for example, there's an 11 here and 11 there. So it's not, a number is not unique. It's just a type of card. So all the 2 through 5s are here and they're shuffled. Everything else is out of the game. So we don't use those this scenario. The next thing it says is that the order cards are 15 to 55. Now the order cards are mostly AI cards. Sorry, I'm moving the camera there. These are order cards, and they have numbers on them up here. And it says 15 through 55, so we should see nothing that's 15 through 55 here. Okay, a lot of these low number cards are these blue command orders, which are nasty. Or at least, I don't know if I want to call them nasty, but they're not desirable. Let's put it that way. So a lot of those are out of the game for this this training wheels mission. So what else does it say? Map setup, map 2. Okay, the map number is right here on the corner. It's a big black number. That's not too hard. The one thing that was odd is take a look at this map real quick. And you can see here's where the German units are centered in town. And you can see there's this blue building, like half of one. And then look at this unit. See, he's like dangling off the edge of the map. Now look over here. That's the unit that was dangling off the edge of the map. And there's the blue building that was only half. This up here doesn't exist in the game. There is no map tile for that. It comes with about 5 or 6 of them, and they are double-sided, but there's no map tile for it. There's a couple that look really close, but there's nothing for it. It's really bizarre that this would exist up here, and it's not even an actual map tile. I think it's going to work just fine from a table space perspective. And as you can see, there's no units up here at all, so not a huge deal, but it's just weird that they would do that. I don't understand why this is here. You know, they bothered filling in all this artwork for what purpose? I have no idea. So very bizarre, and unless I'm somehow missing components, I mean, geez, I would be very upset if that's the case. Okay, so that's the weird part, and if somebody magically knows what I'm doing wrong there, please let me know. Okay, let's see. And then it says if you want to adjust the difficulty, you can. We're not going to. We're going to lose like men. So let's do that. Then place a German control marker on hex 2 I07. So hex 2 just means map 2, right? Because there could be multiple maps in a scenario. And then I07, these are really hard to read and you're not going to be able to see them, but there's a little number right here. That's I01. That's, I can't even see it through the camera. That's H01. Let me see if I can zoom in for you. Yeah, you can see it here. H03, etc. G03. They're hard to see on the camera, but if you're playing this on your table, you shouldn't have too hard of a time. Now, with my old man eyes, I can't see these ones at all. These ones are really dark, so I have to like get really close. But anyways, it's saying to put the control marker there. That's what it's saying, and that's all you need to start. And then, of course, like I maybe forgot to mention, these order cards are supposed to be shuffled. Okay, so just a brief, I'm going to go over the rules when we get to video 2. As for everything else, it's all sorted over here. The units that are in the game are provided in the game, but not necessarily this particular scenario. They're nice tokens. I really like them. I like how big they are. I wish there were more like this. I sometimes like the D-Day games are way too small, but it's already a huge map. So the D-Day games have a very huge map and very tiny tokens. I totally understand why they made the decisions they did, but man, oh man, this token just feels nice in your hand. I really like these. They're very, very nice, comfortable to look at, and anyways, I can have my bromance with the token some other time. A couple of things. There's these tokens you need to put in a cup. They look like little soldiers. That's the side you're supposed. So if you don't have a cup, you can just randomize these and make them this side up, right? And then when a unit suffers damage, you draw one of these, and then the other side tells you what happens to them. Some of these are pretty benign. Other ones are you're dead. So it's a very similar concept to some of the D-Day games. There's another cup, but this one's for vehicles. So same deal, just for vehicles. So you need 2 cups there. Sometimes there's hidden units. That's what these little shadows look like. And the hidden units are like you can hear something, or your intelligence officers are telling you there's something there, but nobody knows what it is. So these are like very similar to the Butterfield games, where who, by the way, he had some role in the development of this game. I don't know what it was, but you can sort of see it. You know, like these hidden units are definitely a Butterfield trait. Except I love the concept, the way they implement hidden units in this way more than Butterfield ever did in like Enemy Action Ardennes, because these, you at least know where the hidden unit would appear if there was one. So like there's a chance there's nothing, like this is just a ghost. But I like it. I like the concept of having an actual tile that's hidden versus, you know, the other weird nonsense that you end up doing. There's so many units in the game. There's tanks, there's anti-tank guns, there's even anti-aircraft guns, and you know, what is that? Yeah, that's a little artillery, and I think there's even motorcycles and other wimpy units in this. So I have them sorted in my own little fashion. I mean, these are all the Russian units here. Russian units have like this beige background, and then the German units have the green background. So put them side by side, you can see the beige versus the green. So that's it in a nutshell. I think you know, I tried to, like, for example, these are anti-tankish units. These are all the SMGs, and they fall down all the time. I do love the tray. I'm not going to complain about the tray or even discourage the designer from ever including this tray again. I do love it, but they do fall down all the time. Okay, there's other things, which is funny, because when you're playing this scenario, you don't even have to read the rules for them, but there are things like fog and smoke. And there's even, you know, moo cows that are in the game. None of that's in this particular game. And, oh gosh, what else is there? So we got these command. And then we have, because remember, this is also a 2-player game. So some of this stuff is more tokens for them to be, you know, you need, what was I going to say? So if you're playing a 2-player game, you actually get action points, which you don't have in this game. There is no action points in a solitaire game. Solitaire changes that. Speaking of which, you got your regular rule book here, and they recommend that you read section 1. I do as well. You need to definitely read section 1, and then you start reading the solitaire rule book. And the solitaire rule book is, like I said, it makes me fall asleep a few times. It's very procedural, so you start to go, But as far as, like, is the information there, I believe it is, and it is good. This rule book, I think, is better than the solitaire one. From a reading perspective, it's also got some really nice pictures. Like, for example, this is what a unit's front versus flank looks like. You won't find this in a solitaire rule book. So here's the drawback. If you've never played the multiplayer game and you're just buying this for solitaire and you only want to play solitaire, you have to read a very large section of the multiplayer rulebook just to find these nice little diagrams to understand the solitaire book. It's a little annoying, to be quite honest. And the solitaire book doesn't even recommend you read some of these sections, but you sort of have to in order to be able to understand that. Plus, look at this. That's a line of sight rule there, right? So you got line of sight issues. It's got what is a front attack versus a flank attack. None of that is in the solitaire book. And then one other important thing is hills. So there's this diagram with hills regarding line of sight. First, you start with that one. The red arrows are pointing to where you can't see. And then you can see this little diagram, figure 22 here, is actually quite awesome. So what it's saying is that when you're at a lower level and you're looking up, you always see the first terrain at that level, but not the second. So if you're standing at A, you can see B, but you can't see D, because D is deeper into the first terrain. But H is 2 levels up, so you see H, but you can't see after H. So, so you'll see B and H, but not D and whatever's after H. It's a beautiful diagram. You won't find that in a solo book. So there are things of that nature that are in this multiplayer book, and unfortunately you got to read them. And I will confess to you, I didn't read all of it. Like, for example, there's artillery here with resolution and drift. I didn't read any of it because there's no artillery in this particular mission. And then here's that smoke I was telling you about. So this game has some pretty cool depth to it, and not all the depth is going to be exposed in this scenario, which is why I sometimes think that the training wheel scenario is a very bad scenario to demonstrate a game. It's wonderful for teaching, I guess, and learning your first game. But when someone's trying to decide whether or not this is the game for them and they want to buy it, I actually think this is an awful scenario to show them because it doesn't, half the rules in the game aren't even implemented. All I can say is if you've made it this far into the video, 21 minutes in, and you're deciding, should I buy this game, shouldn't I? Just understand that there's artillery, there's smoke, there's all kinds of stuff implemented in this game that you're probably not going to see in this particular scenario. And that's it. I don't want to make this a very long video. I think we got a lot of playing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I'll see you in video 2, and we will start trying to play this game.